All right, man, peace. So CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard represent one of the NBA's top backcourts. Unfortunately for them, they tremendously underwhelmed in this year's playoffs, getting swept by the New Orleans Pelicans. Well, he sat down with Stephen A. Smith, and he discussed why he believes the Trail Blazers got swept, as well as what his views are on the current NBA playoff landscape with the Golden State Warriors against the Houston Rockets, as well as the Boston Celtics against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Yeah, he's nice. Our next guest, he helped lead the Trail Blazers to their highest finish in the Western Conference standings since the year 2000. Unfortunately for him, though, the 6-seeded Pelicans swept his 3-seeded Blazers in the first round. To give us some insight on how it all happened, we got CJ McCollum in the building.
I actually don't think that it's unfortunate. I think that it was a good thing for the Portland Trail Blazers that they got swept, because I think that it's going to force their front office to come to terms with the fact that they're going to have to pull the trigger, give the green light on some very hard decisions this offseason. I believe that either Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum are going to be traded, most likely.
What's up, bro?
Good to have you.
May I?
Oh, you sure? You want to start? All right. It's one of those days.
He couldn't wait for this.
My man. We got a lot to get into today, but let's go with you guys first. You averaged 25 a game in this series, shot 51% from the field. You look good.
Yes, the issue was not with CJ. It actually was with Dame Lillard. And that was the problem. I've been saying for the entire season that Portland's main problem is that there's too much onus placed on their guards offensively. Dame Lillard is a great talent, but he's not a great player. Yes, he averages about 26, 27 points a game, but he's only shooting about 42%. That means that he's taking too many shots. Just going to keep it real. Whenever you have a player shooting that low percentage, he's taking too many shots, he's taking too many bad shots. They have to find a way to bring in a very creative, very proficient wing player that can either complement Dame or complement CJ, whoever it is that they decide to keep. Most likely it's going to be Dame, because I think that it will be easier to move CJ because he's not going to have quite the contractual impact that a Dame Lillard will have. Also, Dame is running the point. If you trade Dame, you're going to have to ask CJ to improve his point guard skills in one offseason, and they're not going to want to do that. But they do need a great wing player. You just cannot win in the modern NBA without a great wing. And really, in the history of the NBA, teams have not won championships without a great wing. And we can pretty much go all the way back to the 1960s Boston Celtics, who had great wings like John Havlicek and Sam Jones.
What the hell happened to my man Damian Lillard and the rest of your team? I did not expect what happened against New Orleans. Explain to me what happened, man.
Before CJ explains, let me give my explanation. It's very clear what happened in that series. The backcourt for the Portland Trail Blazers got outsmarted by the backcourt for the New Orleans Pelicans. They scouted the Portland Trail Blazers extremely well. They understood that they like to play a lot of street ball, and they suckered Damian into a lot of positions on the court that he was uncomfortable in. And then beyond that, Mr. Jrue Holiday went ham. He was unstoppable on both offense and defense.
I don't honestly know exactly what happened. I didn't expect.
How could you not know, brother? You lived through it. You know what happened. You just don't want to say it on TV.
For us to get swept either. I honestly had us winning the 6 games, and I felt like they dictated the tempo. They were the aggressors early on in the series.
So, brother, you do know what happened. When you say they dictated the tempo, what you're really saying is that their point guard, Rajon Rondo, played better than our point guard, Damian Lillard. That's really what you're saying, because the point guard is who dictates the tempo on the floor.
He's obviously coming into our house and winning game 1 kind of set the tone for everything for the rest of the series. Although it was a 1 or 2 possession game with about 2 minutes left. I think I had a turnover in game 1 that kind of cost us. It was a pivotal moment. I essentially threw the ball to Jrue Holiday with a chance for a 2-for-1. And I think that kind of hurt us. And then losing game 2 set us up to have our backs against the wall with a must-win game 3, understanding that no teams ever come back. And we credit them. They played well, and we ended up losing.
I'm looking at.
Let me also say this. Oftentimes when teams get swept, they'll say, well, there were 2 or 3 games that we could have won. Well, in the NBA playoffs, in a sweep, there's oftentimes going to be at least 2 games that could have gone either way. The difference in those close games is going to be who has the higher basketball IQ, who gets the better coaching, and quite frankly, who gets the benefit of the whistle. And Portland got none of those 3 things.
Looking at Anthony Davis, averaged 33 and nearly 12 rebounds a game. He was absolutely spectacular. We know what Anthony Davis brings to the...
Beyond being spectacular, he was dominant. And there's a major difference between the two. To be spectacular means that you were very watchable. You were fun to watch. But to be dominant means that you were able to establish your preeminence, your rule over the opposition. And that's the most important aspect of Anthony Davis that he showed in that series, that he could be dominant.
To the table. I have a lot of respect for Jrue Holiday. I didn't expect 27.8 points per game against y'all. Was that the biggest thing that really derailed Damian? And the reason I keep bringing up Damian is because y'all are the two-headed monster. And Damian...
Well, Stephen, now you should keep bringing up Damian Lillard. You should not have to explain why you keep bringing up Damian's name. Coming into that series, I had Anthony Davis as the best player in the series, but not by much over Dame. And clearly I had to reevaluate that after the series was over, because the impact that Anthony Davis had was far greater than Dame Lillard's. And then beyond that, the impact that Jrue Holiday had was far greater than Dame's. So Dame got knocked down a couple of rungs in regards to the rankings of the NBA players. He's definitely outside of the top 10, particularly coming off of that series where he got thoroughly outplayed by the backcourt of the New Orleans Pelicans.
To me, is a big-time player. That wasn't the case in this series. Was it about Jrue Holiday? Was it really that simple?
Yes, it's really that simple, bro. Jrue Holiday dictated every aspect of the game to Dame Lillard, both offensively and defensively. And I think he took their heart in Game 1. Game 1, Jrue Holiday came out there and was dominant. He really was taking it to both those brothers. And that's another major problem that Portland has. Even though their backcourt is very skilled, they're also very small. Jrue Holiday at 6'3" is not supposed to be the biggest guard on the floor in the playoffs in a series. If he is, most likely New Orleans is going to win, because his skill level is so high. And then you combine that with the fact that they have a top 5 or 6 player in the NBA in Anthony Davis. We already know what's going to happen.
I think it was a combination of things. Jrue Holiday did a great job. He defended well. He killed us on the offensive end, exploiting certain matchups. We threw a lot of bodies at him, and he had a lot of success. Obviously, Nurkic, I think Nurkic essentially sealed the series in those first 2 games. He hit a clutch.
Nurkic played very well, but Jrue Holiday also hurt you on the defensive end as well, bro. And we keep bringing up all these different names. Rajon Rondo, Jrue Holiday. You brought up Nurkic, of course, Anthony Davis. Well, when 4 out of the 5 starters are getting off on you in the series, you are going to get swept.
Clutch 3-pointer down the stretch that, essentially we would have ended up having a chance to go up 2 possessions. But, you credit Jrue Holiday. He played well. I've always been a fan of his game. Obviously, you don't want to see, yourself losing in the first round of the sweep. But I think Dame had some good looks. He had some good opportunities. They made it tough on him. They threw some double teams at times, some random traps at half court. Obviously, there was a stay home on me.
Oftentimes, when they throw those random traps and those hard double teams on a player, it's because they know that he does not pass well out of the double team. He's not a willing passer per se. They know that he's a shoot-first, quote-unquote, point guard. And that's another issue that Portland has. They have a couple of combo guards in CJ and Dame Lillard. And if they're going to be combo guards, they have to operate at a very high level of basketball acumen. And neither one of them do at this point. Even though I think that CJ's basketball ceiling in regards to his acumen is higher than Dame's. And of course, the model for combo guards in NBA history as a backcourt is Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. And they're a couple of levels above where CJ and Dame are right now, but it's something to aspire to.
For most of the game.
Assuming that neither one of them get traded, which I believe that at least one of them should be traded by the Portland Trail Blazers.
Game when I was in, and when he was in by himself, double teams came and were more aggressive, and obviously they doubled myself as well. But I think he had some good looks. Just wasn't a great series for us.
Go ahead, Max.
I think it is as simple as Jrue. And I was shocked. Jrue Holiday just got Damian Lillard, which is shocking. But I don't see you and Damian Lillard as...
I was surprised by it, but I wasn't shocked. Because when you evaluate a series or a potential matchup, you look at what's expected of players. It's very clear that Alvin Troutmouth Gentry looked at Jrue Holiday and discerned and deciphered, and kudos to Alvin for being able to evaluate this, that Jrue could be dominant in that series. And I did not foresee that. I thought that he was just going to lay back and be rather passive on the offensive end, as he normally is. But he came out very aggressive. And on top of being aggressive, he was proficient in his aggressiveness.
As anything holding you back on that team, you guys are all-star caliber players. What do you think the team is lacking right now in terms of personnel, CJ, to take you guys to the next level?
A great wing. They need a great wing, Max Kellerman. That's what they need. And they don't have it right now. Now, someone might say, well, CJ McCollum is a wing player. Well, he's really a wing only in name because the brother's only about 6'1.5", maybe 6'2". He's extremely proficient. His skill set is very high. But their backcourt is too small in today's NBA for them to be able to win a championship. I mean, unless they have just an unbelievable level of basketball acumen, extremely high basketball IQ, and they don't have it. So they're gonna have to move one of those guys.
In terms of personnel, I think we have some really strong pieces, some good pieces right now. Not to make excuses, but Mo Harkless was hurt going into that series. I think he tried to play in one of the games and ended up, sitting out the rest of the series. But he was one of the pieces we needed. His versatility on the defensive end, being able to give Chief a break on Anthony Davis, being able to guard Jrue Holiday potentially in some possessions down the stretch of games. I think we missed him, and he shot 41 or 42% from three this year. So that will be a crucial piece for us as we go into the future. Having guys that can defend and be able to shoot the ball from three-point range. But I think Chief was great this year at Davis. Some of the guys helped us out a lot.
You speak as
All those players that you're naming are the problem. You have a lot of average to above average 6'6" and 6'7" guys. You need one dominant 6'7" guy. And one of you are going to have to be traded to get him.
as if you plan on being there for years to come. Do you feel that this team should be kept intact?
Now, CJ is smiling because he picked up on what Stephen A is about to say, which is that they may have to move him.
Or are you of the mindset that changes might need to be made or may actually happen?
I think the team needs to be kept intact. I think you can't panic off.
I don't. I'm sorry, bro, but you guys are not 22, 23 years old. You're not the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder. You guys are closer to 30. Most of your top players on your team are closer to 30 than they are to 22, including yourself. So this is the time for winning. You came into the postseason ranked number 3 in the Western Conference, and you got swept. So if you're the Portland Trailblazer front office, you're looking at the landscape right now, and you're saying to yourself, well, the Lakers are going to be better. Phoenix is going to be better. Those are the teams that did not even make the playoffs. You'd expect Minnesota to be better. The Clippers, they didn't make the playoffs. You'd expect them to be better. Of course, you already have Golden State and Houston. You guys are not touching either one of those teams. You would expect San Antonio to be better, potentially, should they decide to keep Kawhi Leonard or whoever they trade him for. They're going to be better. So, I mean, really, what are we really saying right now? You guys are a fair to middling 45 to 50 win team next year once again.
Although playoffs didn't go as planned, we felt like we should have been able to advance and take a step forward. We got better in the regular season. Although it was a game and a half, 2 games separating, 3 from 7, 8, I felt like we put ourselves in a position to have home court and didn't take advantage of it. So I think that's on us internally to figure out ways to improve. And my job is to be a player. I play, I go perform, I go try to improve each year to help the team. My job isn't to make personnel decisions, so I leave that to the guys in the front office.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, that's a smart answer, bro.
Go ahead, Matt.
CJ, what do you have to do to get better in this upcoming season? What part of your game do you think you need to most work on?
I think I got to work on
You better work on packing your bags.
ball handling, continue to tighten that up. Playmaking, in the sense that obviously I can make plays for others, but being able to initiate the offense, being able to empower certain guys and put them in position to succeed is the next.
CJ, brother, what are you really saying? You're stating that you have to work on your ball handling, which you really don't. You're one of the better ball handlers in the NBA. But you're also saying that you have to work on your ability to distribute the basketball. So are you indirectly / diplomatically stating that Dame Lillard is not a premium level point guard who can improve the teammates around him? Have many of the members of Portland, of your squad, come up to you and complain about Dame? And maybe they're approaching you because they think that you may be a little bit more amenable to trying to move the basketball around? Who knows? People say things for a certain reason. All I know is this: when you have a prime level point guard on your team, you're not too concerned about being able to distribute the basketball yourself.
It's the next step for me. You look at the Rockets, obviously with James and CP. I think the transformation he's made in his game has been his ability to pass. not only throwing the lob to Capella, but being able to run the pick and roll, hit the roll, and play Scott on the weak side. He gets Trevor Ariza easy buckets. PJ Tucker's the king of corner threes, and he kind of empowers everybody and makes them better. Obviously, having CP out there, they have essentially 2 point guards who can play, make, and create.
So you want to be a combo guard? You want to be like a full-fledged combo guard?
I think he pretty much already is a combo guard. I think he's stating that he wants to improve his point guard skills because there may be some on his team that are not confident in Dame Lillard's point guard skills, Max Kellerman.
Just want to do whatever it takes to help our team win. I understand that, scoring 20 and being able to help your team is great, but you have to be able to do a little bit of everything. And obviously the defensive end continue to get better, and I think I've made.
And of course, if CJ improves his ability to pass, it will take a lot of pressure off of Dame. As I stated, oftentimes teams will design game plans to double team a certain player in certain positions on the basketball court because they know that he's not a willing passer or not a good passer from certain areas. So CJ also could be stating that I saw what happened to Dame in this last series and I want to be able to help him out.
I've made strides each season as well.
Well, forgive me for being a bit confused as to how you just want the team to get better, but you think y'all should remain intact. You got Golden State and Houston.
Thank you, sir. Agree and agree.
You just lost to New Orleans. Utah with Donovan Mitchell and those boys have
Absolutely. I forgot about them. Utah's right there.
shown that they can ball too. To me, seems like standing pat may be something that won't work for the Portland Trail Blazers.
Absolutely not. They don't have enough talent to stand pat.
You think standing pat? Here's a better question for you, Steve.
Sure.
What do you think we need?
Me personally speaking, I don't know if you and Damian should coexist.
Well, sir, I've been stating that all regular season. So, welcome aboard.
And let me explain why.
Should or can?
No. I think that the both of y'all are ballers. The problem is, I don't think that anybody else that you have can get you all the pieces of support that you need to get over the hump.
So
it's almost similar. To me, y'all are like a better version of the Wizards with John.
Agreed. I will put Portland on the same level as a Toronto, except their backcourt in Portland is a little bit better than the backcourt in Toronto. Just a tad bit better. But they're both better than the Wizards.
With John Wall and Bradley Beal. Y'all can ball. But what you do together, you need help. And you can't get that help without sacrificing one of y'all to do it because nobody else around you has enough value to get you the pieces that you need to get over the competition that you're going to go against.
Completely agree. And to be quite frank with you, the only other alternative is if there are astronomical strides made in the basketball acumen of both CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard in the offseason to the point where they're making their teammates so much better that they become a 60 to 65 win level team, and I just don't see that. One of them have to go because I don't think that either one of them are willing to sacrifice the scoring to empower their teammates, which is why, once again, I stated that I think that CJ is going into the offseason with the mindset that he has to do it because maybe he's not confident in Dame Lillard's ability to do it.
So who do you keep, Dame or CJ, Stephen A? Who do you keep?
Whoever I can get the most.
So I understand what you're saying in the sense that you feel like we don't have the pieces to collectively to make certain moves.
In the West, if you in the East, you'd probably be in the conference final. But go ahead.
But if you trade one of us, it's lateral movement. How much better can you essentially get from trading one of us? I think it's lateral movement.
It's only lateral depending on what you get back. But if, for example, if you were to be packaged with a couple of those small forwards on your team for a major wing, that can make a major difference. Now, the only question is, what major wing can you bring into Portland that can make that big of a difference? To be quite frank, there are not that many great small forwards in the NBA anymore. I mean, really, would Portland move a CJ McCollum, a couple of those forwards in a first-round draft pick for Kawhi Leonard? Would they be willing to do that? Would San Antonio be willing to accept that? I don't know.
Is that a statement or a question?
I'm asking you.
All right, well, let me answer that question. I'll tell you how. Because if C.J. McCollum, who's proven to be big time, or Damian Lillard, who despite this series, I believe in this brother. It was just a bad series. I believe in him. Chances are I could get a lot of value for them, and whoever is left over can carry a heavier load because you don't have to depend on the other. In other words, if I sit up there and I'm able to get, let's say, for example, if I'm able to get a forward, if I'm able to get a big, if I'm able to get somebody else.
They need a forward, Steve. They need a major wing. That's what they need.
That doesn't necessarily do what I do as effectively as y'all do it. Yeah, I might have to carry a heavier load if one of y'all is gone, but I got help in other areas, and that will enable this team to be better. That's my position.
No, I respect your opinion. I believe you have a right to your opinion, but I don't agree.
Okay.
I think
No, I think you do agree. I think you just don't want to admit that on television, because how would you look sitting down saying, yeah, they should trade one of us? I mean, come on.
I think that it's premature.
I think one area you can look at on that team, CJ, which may be a little wish casting, is Nurkic, right? Like if he were a dominant big, and there are times when you squint a little bit, you look at him, you go, boy, he could be that. But then it's not yet consistent. If he were a dominant big, then maybe you can keep the whole thing together and keep improving. What do you see from him in terms of his game? And where do you think he is and where he needs to get to be?
Actually,
what do you have to do to get to the next level?
you can answer that question, but you was about to get on me. I want to hear that too. Go ahead. I'm going back.
He has a journalism degree, by the way.
Go get Stephen A. Go get him.
I'll come back to you in a second. Don't worry, I ain't forgot about you.
Thank you.
For Nurk, I think Nurk's done a great job of continuing to improve each year. He got his body in shape. He lost a lot of weight. He got stronger. He got more nimble. I think the consistency was better down the stretch of the season. The latter part of All-Star break, he improved a lot. Efficiency around the basket was great. He was getting double-doubles. He's making his free throws. So I think he's striding and heading in the right direction, if you ask me. Obviously, this is his first year of full-time minutes, having to be dependent upon every night, playing in the Western Conference, being in a position to where he knew we needed you. We needed you to get 15 and 10. We need you to get 18 and 10, sometimes 20 and 10, block shots, protect the paint. And that's a lot to ask for out of somebody in their first full-time season. So I think he's striving and heading in the right direction.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, let me say this in regards to C.J. McCollum's statements about Nurkic. They do need more from Nurkic, and I think that whoever their coach is going to be needs to put more of an onus on Nurkic in a half-court set so that he can take some pressure off of those two guards, because he would open up a lot for them offensively if he was a little bit more proficient in a half-court set, because he does have the talent. They just need to utilize him more. And, of course, if conditioning is an issue, he has to improve that.
Sure.
All right. I'm waiting for you, but you want to get on me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll get back on to you. Obviously, you have a right to your own opinion, as I said before, but I think that it's premature. This is our third season. I think it's...
No, brother, it's not premature. Actually, this is the time period where you're supposed to be on the cusp. When you're 26, 27 years old, your team is supposed to be on the cusp of winning. Because let's be for real, neither you nor Dame are top 10 players in the NBA. Dame is probably top 15. I will have to sit down and think about it and make a real list. But CJ is probably maybe top 25. You don't have a transcendent player on your team for you to say, well, we could wait another year. It's one thing if you're New Orleans and you have an Anthony Davis, or you're Houston and you have a James Hardhead. And then you could say, well, we have a top 10 player. Maybe we can just bring in another piece and allow it to marinate. But you guys don't have that.
I think it's premature for people panicking in Toronto. You won 59 games.
Oh, no, that's not premature at all. Toronto's done.
And obviously things didn't go well in the playoffs, but you still won 59 games, broke a franchise record. We've gotten better each year. This is my third full-time year as a starter, although I'm going into my sixth season. Dame and I have gotten better. We've won. We've proven that we can potentially get home court, and we can go at the big dogs. So
No, you guys have not proven that you can go at the big dogs at all. Sorry, CJ, but absolutely not. You got swept by New Orleans, brother. You got swept by New Orleans. It would have been different if maybe you had lost in 6 to the Rockets or lost in 6 to the Warriors. Then we could say, okay, well, they're making strides. Because they lost in 5 to the Warriors a couple years ago, and they lost in 5 to them last year. Then we could say, okay, they're growing. You guys are not growing. You took a step forward in the regular season, and you took a step back in the postseason, and the postseason is what counts. So...
and hang with the big dogs. Obviously, we got swept in the playoffs, so that's all people remember. And that's great. We have to improve. We realize that. Take responsibility for losing. There's no making excuses. There's none of that. We lost. We got outplayed. It's over. Now you got to get better for the next year and figure out ways to improve.
We got to take a quick break, but this is fun. I really like when he interviews you.
I will respond to what you just said.
Oh! But CJ, I want to let you just pick up where you guys left off on that earlier conversation.
Let me say this to CJ. First of all, I'm a huge fan of both him and Damian Lillard. Yep. I think y'all are big time. I think the team is lost when one of y'all are not.
I agree. I think that Dame and CJ are big time. But once again, people have to understand this. When you look back in the annals of NBA history, Oftentimes you have one, maybe two great teams that transcend all the other teams in an era, and they define that era. Everybody can't win titles. And the Portland Trailblazers are not going to win a title. Not how they're currently constituted. Absolutely not.
Not on the floor. For example, New Orleans doubled Damian a lot. As a result, you have to be a ball handler. You take one of you two out, what do you have? Nobody else can play in terms of being a playmaker. I don't mean they're scrub.
I mean, to be honest with you, the Portland Trailblazers, they remind me a little bit of Run TMC in the early 90s. I mean, so much of a big deal is made about Run TMC. And those guys, I don't even know if they ever won a playoff series. I don't even think they ever got to the second round. You know what I'm saying? But they were fun. Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, Mitch Richmond, they were fun to watch. But they never did shit. And the Portland Trailblazers of today, they remind me vaguely of them.
Scrubs. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about being a playmaker. I didn't mean that. I know they can play, but I'm talking about being a playmaker. I think you need another wing scorer personally.
Absolutely, sir. No doubt about it. They need about a 6'7" wing who can defend. Kawhi would really be perfect for them. But I just think that the Kawhi sweepstakes is going to be so feverish in the offseason that they may not have enough to get Kawhi unless they're willing to give up CJ, a couple of those forwards, and a draft pick. And even then, I think that Popovich would have to sit back and really meditate on it. I think that Boston would have the most to offer for Kawhi.
That would be me, or somebody to play the three, ideally. What I'm saying to you is this, though. 3 times in the last 4 years, y'all have gone home in the first round. The last 2 years, y'all have been swept. Twice, in the first round. So I'm saying to you, that taken into consideration, what are we talking about patience here for? Houston's not going anywhere. Golden State's not going anywhere.
Thank you, sir.
Utah's on the come up.
So are the Denver Nuggets, by the way. The Denver Nuggets are on the come up as well. They won 46 games last season and played no defense at all.
New Orleans is clearly on the come up. To me, standing pat virtually guarantees more of the same. Now, unless that's enough, have a good regular season, get to the playoffs, and then going home early. To me, the best thing to do is try to make a move, because I'm taking.
You could tell CJ getting salty right now. He's like, yo, this nigga really reading me for filth on national TV like this. I can't believe this. I'm here wearing my Easter suit, and this nigga really trying to play me like this.
I'm taking into account competition. I'm not just looking at y'all. I know y'all can play. I'm talking competition. You got to take into account who you're going up against and what they're doing. And based on the competition, I don't think Portland can stand back.
I understand, but you can overreact to New Orleans series. We shouldn't have got swept. I get it. We shouldn't have got swept. It happened. It's over with. People go back and say we lost 10 straight or 11 straight or 12 straight playoff games. We lost to a 73 win team, Warriors team, that the rest of the league lost to as well. I think they swept the entire playoffs and lost 1 game. So you can't overreact.
Well, you didn't lose to the 73-win Warrior team that only lost 1 game in the playoffs. That actually was the team that lost in the finals to Cleveland. Now, last year's Warriors team, they were probably the best Warriors team ever. They went 15-1 in the playoffs, but they didn't win 73 games. So, I mean, it's easy to look back and say, well, we shouldn't be penalized for getting swept by the Warriors, but really, then what is the point? If you claim that you're getting closer to what? By the time you guys finally, quote-unquote, get over the hump, you're going to be, 30, 31 years old, and that's assuming that there are no other teams on the horizon to eclipse you.
React to that. Obviously, you have to get better, have to figure out ways to improve, but 8 of our losses out of the last 9, 10, 11, 12 is to the Warriors, who have been in the finals. And obviously,
but CJ, how do you...
Right, so then that's the point. How you going to defeat them, dude?
How do you become the Warriors? I think the point is, right, in order to be the best, you got to be the Warriors, right? Like, you got to be an elite team. How do you guys... Well, if you want to win a championship, you got to be that level.
Absolutely, sir.
In other words, the teams that say, well, we ran into this great team, right? Those are the champs. That's who gets to be champ. How do you guys become that great team? If it's a piece that you need to add, ideally, who would it be? Or otherwise, how do you get there?
That's a great point. I think it takes time before you become that type of team. You look at the Warriors, and obviously they got better through the draft. They hit the lottery in the draft. They were able to get Clay. They were able to get Draymond Green, who has...
Let me say this very quickly. The Warriors did well in the draft. They didn't do great in the draft. They did well because they drafted appropriately according to the system that they eventually were going to be running. People forget that they were ready to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. People forget that in Steve Kerr's first season, right before that season, he was trying to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. Steve Kerr was. And fortunately for the Warriors, that trade did not work out. Because, of course, now Klay is an irreplaceable member of that team. But the Warriors are a synergy team. They came together. They formed like Voltron. You're going to get that very rarely in NBA history, that a team fits so well together within the framework of their system.
It turned out to be a lot more than some people expected. Obviously, Steph has evolved, and the ankle injuries allowed him to be on a discount for all those years. I think he was making $44 million a year. So that kind of saved him and allowed them to potentially sign KD. So that was a lot of luck, along with strategic planning and
That's a great point.
And players developing, but that doesn't just happen overnight.
Sixers Celtics tonight. Who you got?
Celtics. Terry's from Ohio, man.
All right. Any chance they can take the Cavs if they get through the series?
I feel like with the way those players play, you know, they execute down the stretch. They're good in close games, and you have Brad Stevens as your coach. You always have a chance, but I don't see LeBron losing until he gets to the final.
What about Houston, Golden State?
I think it'll be a good matchup. I think from a guard perspective, CP and James are going to be able to attack and try to have success in pick and rolls and isolations and picking on who they think is a weak defender. But I think the Warriors have too much depth.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful, because again, y'all can play, but they can't beat Portland. They can't beat CP3 and James Harden and beat the Warriors. You got to get all of those other parts to step up and handle their business in order to have a chance against the Warriors.
You can't let it go.
It's just true.
CJ,
Yeah, why you got to throw that last dart at the brother like that for? Talking about they can't beat Portland. You know, CJ should have said, well, you can't beat Brian Gumble, nigga. All right? But anyway, that's it on the interview with CJ McCollum. The brother did a very good job. He certainly has a future in sports media, so good for him. But one of those guys are going to have to be traded, either him or Dame.